This is the Do This, Sell More show. I am Dave Lorenzo, your host, and today we have something very special for you. We have someone as our guest today who has been able to build a business, and it's a big business. Actually multiple businesses that enable his lifestyle. And he's not only someone who has done this for selfish purposes, he also runs his own foundation, and his company is one of the best places to work in the entire state of Vermont. So let me introduce you to Adam Hergenrother, who he's the guy to know in real estate in Vermont, and one of the people you need to know if you work in real estate anywhere. He can help you take your real estate business to the next level, but he's going to teach us today about how he uses his business to enable his lifestyle. Let me just give you just the highlights of his bio, because if I read the whole thing, we take up half of the show. He's the founder and CEO of Adam Hergenrother Companies, which includes Keller Williams Vermont, Hergenrother Realty, BlackRock Construction, Adam Hergenrother Training, and the Adam Hergenrother Foundation. In less than 10 years, Adam's built this rapidly growing company through his commitment to thinking big and never giving up. He's fearless and purposeful. He's unconventional and systematic. I told you his company is one of the best places to work in the state of Vermont. He's been in the Wall Street Journal, and BlackRock Construction has made Inc. magazine's 5,000 list, which is one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in America. We're going to learn a lot today about how your business should enable your lifestyle. Adam, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Dave, thanks so much. Excited to be here and to serve your audience. And I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. I know how much time and energy it goes into putting these shows on, and I'm not sure everyone appreciates all that you do to help change the lives of the people that are listening. So I just want to thank you.
Well, thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Let's get started by having you tell us. So you got 3 kids. You're dedicated to your family. You're also an incredible athlete. You do Ironmans. You work out every day. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your day. How do you take me through the average day? How do you get it all in?
Yeah, I love it. I love to jump right in. So we all have 24 hours in a day, right, Dave? So time isn't the cheat as to why people become more successful. I like to think it is, but it's not. It's not like something that you can buy more of. We all have 24 hours. It's the ability to maximize each moment that you have. So for me, it's also discipline equals freedom. It's very, very structured. It's actually very boring in terms of what my day looks like. So each day I wake up between 3 and 4 a.m. depending on the volume of training I have that day. The first thing that I do when I wake up is I meditate for 20 minutes. I use what's called transcendental meditation. So I meditate for 20 minutes. Then I get into a series of journaling. The first journal is just I'm grateful for, and there's usually about 100 things on there: wind, weather, just to get me out of a state, just to make sure that I'm going there. Then I have a journal for each one of my kids, Dave. And wow. Maybe some people experience this, or maybe I'm the only one. Sometimes I have trouble staying in the moment with my kids, and I don't want to miss that. So the day before, if I know that I'm journaling about them, and I try to snap a photo and bring it in, I use Evernote. It makes it very easy with an iMac. And I try to find something the day before that pulls me into the moment so that I can share a story about them, something they said, something I never saw before. So I'm very purposeful in that time the night before. So I journal about each one of them. The other thing is my kids are 7, 5, and 2. Maybe my 7-year-old knows who I am, but I guarantee you my 5 and 2-year-old probably, if I died today, they wouldn't know how I feel about them and some of the intangible assets that I want to pass on. So in this journal, I just want to make sure that they know that in case something happened to me. So, and then I get into a journal about my wife, which something that I'm grateful for her, which sometimes can take longer than other days, but I want to make sure that we're in there. And then I get into exercise, which I train in Ironman. So for the most part, it's somewhere between 2 to 3 hours most days. Some days are longer. 2 days are real long. So then I jump into that. And while I'm doing that, I'm jumping into audibles. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm killing a couple birds with one stone there. And then I'm usually done somewhere around 7:30 or so. And I spend a few minutes with my family, and then I'm at the office by 8:30. My day is structured so that at 8:30 to 11:30, I have a block. And my EA or chief of staff knows that they can put stuff in that block of time. And from 11:30 to 1:30 is a block off time, which nothing goes in there. So I meditate again. I also am very purposeful in what I eat. So I eat and make sure that I'm eating then. I may check some emails. I may walk around my office to get a tone for how people are feeling, dealing with stuff like that. Then from 1:30 to 4:30 is another block of time. And at 4:30 it ends. And I have that structure 4 days a week. And it's funny about time, Dave, is that about 2.5 years ago now, when I started doing Ironmans, I was working a 5-day week. And then I started realizing I had one day that I had to exercise for about 4 to 6 hours. And so I said, hey, Amy, just start blocking off my Friday. And I said, next week I need to train there. And then next week happened. She goes, why don't I just start blocking every Friday off for you? So what this did was, it was a great gift, because then it made me force to figure out which appointments were the most important, so I could structure my day in 4 days. And what I realized was like, oh my God, I actually didn't even need this other day. And we're all wasteful time. So if I can give somebody a tactic that kind of helps you sell more or be more or do more, is to go back to your appointments that you have now. And we have this kind of impression that everything needs to be 30 minutes, an hour. I don't know where those time came from. Maybe there's round numbers, but most appointments can be cut in 50%. So if you have 10 hours of appointments a week standing, go drop all of those to 5 hours. Yeah. Look, you can always add it back. But just go literally drop every one, and you figure out it's amazing how much you can do. So I'll pause there for a second.
No, that's fantastic. So I want to talk about TM for a minute, because I practice TM too. I have for 4 years, and I want to talk to you about, we could probably do a whole show on this. So I don't want to take up a ton of time, but it's really important for me. I try to tell my clients all the time about the importance of meditation, and I don't push one method of meditation over another on them. I found that it works for me. I tried mindfulness, and TM is the best opportunity for me to do it because it's twice a day, and it's 20 minutes, and it's right when you first wake up before everything gets crazy. What got you into TM in the first place, and how do you find that makes you more focused throughout the rest of the day?
Awesome. And congratulations for doing it. It's been a life-changing for me. So make a long story short, when I was 27 years old, I had this number in my head, Dave, that was once I netted $500,000, I was going to be this different person, right? I was going to change, and I was going to feel a certain way, right? And so when I was 27, I remember having this conversation. I walked into my mom. My mom's this person who cares nothing about money. And I'm like, Mom, I made $500,000 this year. I'm 27 in Vermont. Like, this is really cool. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And we moved on. And I was like, man, people don't give a shit. And
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody actually cares. And I was like, and I don't know if I was expecting like Santa Claus to come down and give me something when I did this. I don't know. I just wrapped my whole head around
You're still the same person.
Yeah, you are. It's not like all of a sudden like the sun changes direction for you, right? And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught in this trap. And so I actually got depressed. I got really depressed because I was like, man, if money isn't going to give me this feeling, then what is the point of life? And I understand how people get really depressed. So then I started going on this kind of spiritual journey. I don't mean spiritual like I'm sitting on some cliff, reciting poems with smoke coming out of a fire. I mean that there's like an omnipresence that's something more than you. And so that's kind of when I started going on a whole spiritual journey, if you will. And I'm not hanging a shingle like I'm a spiritual dude. I went on to something that's more than me, and I found TM. And TM was kind of the first catalyst to start realizing like, hey, there's a deeper truth in all this. There's a lot more here than I realized, and it's definitely not about Adam. There's 700 quadrillion moments that are happening every single day, and my consciousness is shining a light on just one fraction of a moment, and I should be honoring the moment that's in front of me. And I think the highest place any human being can be in a business or in their life is to raise up the moment that's in front of them. And if you can do that, you're living with that attitude, I don't care what level you're playing at, if you do that with that intention, you're living the highest life that you can live right now. And so I brought this into my life, and what TM has ultimately taught me was I believe clarity equals speed, right? Not just power. Clarity equals speed. And so let me give you this example. Before TM, if you picture like you're in one end zone and you're trying to get to the next end zone, and there's in the football field, there's all these elephants, and every elephant's touching. And so people wake up and they start in one part of the end zone, and within minutes, it's like they're trying to get to the other end. They hit one elephant, they all erupt. That's the stress that's coming from you. You just erupt, right? You literally can't even take a step. Somebody cuts you off in the car and you're getting pissed off and you're telling everybody how pissed off you are. Man, you can't deal with problems in the car in front of you that's going 5 miles an hour is making you angry. You're not going to solve any problems that way. So what TM has done is allowed you to realize that you can start removing the elephants so that as days go on, you get to the 10-yard line, then the 20-yard line, then the 30-yard line. And then ultimately you can get to a place where all the events are unfolding in front of you, i.e. all the 99 problems that have shown up since 3 o'clock this morning and they don't affect who you are.
Right.
So you maintain this well-being, the state of well-being, so you have clarity to bring to your leaders. You have clarity to bring to your family. You have clarity to solve the problems and be able to triangulate information so that you can build the biggest business possible.
That's terrific. I love it. It's terrific. If those of you listening are interested in transcendental meditation, there are dozens of videos you can find on YouTube. You can find a ton of people who you recognize talking about it and what it's done to them. It is one of the easiest things you will ever learn to do. And it is an investment you make in yourself, 20 minutes twice a day. I recommend it to all my clients, and I'll tell you, it is it's something that, if nothing else, just taking 20 minutes twice a day for yourself will keep you from going crazy. So, Adam, talk to me about your hatred for mediocrity. In the pre-show interview, you wrote down that mediocrity is, I mean, you can't stand mediocrity. So tell me about why you're on this mission to eradicate mediocrity from the lives of everybody you know.
Well, part of it is because for about first 16 years of my life, I lived in mediocrity. I was 100 pounds overweight. As a freshman in high school, I really started getting into drugs. I was failing classes, right, Dave? I was that kind of role model student you wanted your kid to hang out with.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I literally was like, I would lie, I would exaggerate, I would try to be somebody else. And I think living in mediocrity is living somebody else's life. That's my definition of it, right?
Okay.
Instead of living and engineering your own life. And so as a freshman, I realized this, and I came home one day and I started crying, and I realized, like, oh my God, what's my life doing? Where am I going? And I made a decision that I was no longer going to live this life. I was going to live my life at this point in time. And until you make that decision, you don't realize how much pain you're living in, and how you live in this just disturbance in your head, and it's not a good place to be. And so once you get free of that, then you can walk around and you start seeing everyone who's living in this mediocrity or living somebody else's life or not being true to who they are, and they get caught up in this and they end up trying to be somebody else. So part of me is when I look at why people are with Adam Hergen off their companies, it's because we push them on all aspects of levels. We push them we have 18% of our company doing TM now, right? We push people to do their first 5K, to start Ironmans, to go to a yoga class, whatever it is that's forcing them to do it. Then we look in terms of like what their time is, what's their relationship with their kids and their partners. So when I look at mediocrity, it's just living and just being. It's just there's nothing you're not engineering anything. Frankly, and like I said before, you're not raising up the moment that's in front of you. You're not taking you're taking for granted that the universe is unfolding this moment, that you get to lift up, that you get to, it's in front of you, do something, act, build it up, explore. I'm not saying you announce life this way. I'm saying you go out and you engineer your life with excitement and joy to raise it up in the business field, in the teaching field, doesn't matter what you're doing. So that's what mediocrity means, and why I'm so passionate about getting people out of that is because if you've lived it and you understand the pain, then you understand the other side of this, of where people can get to, even if they take a step. I don't care where they're practicing. If they have to take their first book, then I honor that person for making a step to learn about their self-awareness, about growing out of that. And if we can just if the world is, by the way, which is happening, the world's awakening. I mean, look, you and I are talking about TM. 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah, you're right.
The world's awakening to this conversation. And I think it's in what you're doing, Dave, to help facilitate that message, to get out to people, to make some change in their life so they no longer live in mediocrity and they can go ripple that effect out of their families. It's awesome.
All right, so tell me about the holistic approach you take to your life, and I guess the holistic approach you take to your company, because 18% of your folks are doing TM. You said that you encourage people to get into fitness and wellness and stuff. You prioritize now. It's interesting. You prioritize fitness before almost before everything else. What is that? Why do you do that? And why is it part of the fabric of your company? And what has it meant to you and to the growth of your company?
Love it. Well, it's a staple in my life because every day you have the opportunity to create self-mastery. And self-mastery is overcoming that voice inside your head that says no. So people think that I exercise a lot, that I love exercise. I actually hate exercise. What I like, though, is I like when I wake up, even I built these habits of exercising so much, my mind goes, you don't need to exercise. You can take today off. You don't feel that good. And I get to go, no, actually I'm not. I don't want to be a slave to my moods and my passions. Therefore, I put discipline in my life. And exercise becomes the first staple of doing that. You wake up. By the way, does it take willpower and discipline to do TM every morning, right? Or in the middle of the day? There's a lot. I know how busy you are. Just to stop and do that takes a lot of energy. So it's the fact of if you create these mental fitness, you create more mental fitness. And as you start building your emotional fitness, that then leaks into other aspects of your life. And that becomes an asset to a business owner, to a CEO, to somebody trying to build, because they look, every day there's going to be a ton of challenges that show up. And if you're not in a place to be able to handle those challenges, it's going to break 95% of people. So then you go, okay, well, how do I train myself so that I'm more capable of being in the position to handle the problem that shows up? And it starts for me with physical fitness, because I get to get that mental victory. And then forget that, you feel great, right? And I love to eat too. Is that a side note? Like, I love to eat, so I love to So, and then in the same thing with TM, right? All of these things coupled by building yourself up gives you the fortitude to be able to push through, and understanding that we are all, in my opinion, just a spiritual being having a physical experience. And if that's truly the case, wouldn't you want all the experiences to show up in your life? A rattlesnake is different than a butterfly experience, but they all shape who we are. So if we start applying that to our life and understanding that business is truly a conduit for our personal growth, we actually start going out there and craving all of the experiences, so it forces us to grow. Right? I always joke, in business, nobody would go sign up for a lawsuit, right? Nobody would go sign up for somebody to go under the busiest day for your team to walk out on you. But guess what? When you're forced to put yourself in those situations and you can handle it, knowing that they're not personal, you can go out there and you just tackle this stuff. And that is the food for the soul.
Yeah, I love what you said right there, and that's one of the reasons why my kids are almost similar age to yours. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we have a rule in our house: for every hour they spend watching television, they have to spend an hour either doing some sort of exercise or reading a book. My son is he's a martial artist. He practices jiu-jitsu and Kempo karate 6 days a week. And one of the reasons why we wanted him to get into martial arts was to test himself physically, because if he's getting into a ring with people who are trained to take his head off 3 days a week, he knows he can handle just about anything that life can throw at him. And he started doing it when he was 7, and he's a well-adjusted, confident kid who, he has normal kid fears, but he's never going to have to worry about how to handle himself physically in any situation. And that it's just been incredible how that has bled over into his ability to speak in front of a group, his ability to take on more challenging schoolwork, doing more advanced math, because he feels like he's in control. Now, I came to that realization much later in life through business. Nobody said to me, hey, listen, if you learn to do this, it'll bleed over into other areas of your life. But once I realized that the confidence from one area of my life was transferable to another, I wanted to give that gift to my kids. And I think we have the ability to do that. That's one of the reasons why I do this. We have the ability to do that to people who are out there right now, when they realize, look, if you're great in one aspect of your life, you have the ability to transfer that effort and that learning and that skill into another area of your life if you just apply it. Do you agree?
100%. That's a beautiful story. I'm so passionate about the fact that you did that with your kids.
So tell me, we have just a couple minutes left, and I want you to tell us all about going from being on your own, right? A solo real estate, I guess, broker agent, out there hustling, getting listings, selling homes and that sort of thing, to building your empire. Did you decide to make that transition, or was it just the path that you went down? How did that happen?
I really wish I could say that I had this very clear image of exactly what was going to happen. I just knew that every time I got into the ring, I wanted more. I wanted more growth, and I wanted it because of the experience that the growth gave me. Somebody asked me, I was teaching a course, and somebody asked me and said, why do you keep doing what you're doing? I said, because the larger that you get, the cooler the experiences. And sometimes when I say cooler experiences, they're really painful experiences. Man, do they really shape who you get to become. Comes to sport.
Bigger business, bigger problems.
Yes, exactly right. So yeah, I mean, and frankly, there's a couple of things that from tactical standpoint, because I hear this a lot, like people are like, I want to eradicate time for CEOs because people are like, I don't have any time to do this thing. Well, part of it is understanding that time is not the cheat, so stop using that as an excuse. Number two is when you have to learn to live on a salary and then take all of the rest of your money and invest it back into people. And it has to be the right people. Because most people go, yeah, I know, I get that, but like, I just don't have the money to do this. Well, then they get into a Porsche. Like that was literally happening. The guy, come on, like I mean, seriously, like I get, even if you leased it, it's still $1,200 a month. I mean, it's halfway there. Don't tell me. And the thing is in the beginning part of my career, when I was really building, I was making these $100,000 hires. I had 10 grand in my bank account. I'm not even kidding. And people are like, because they're like, well, I've got 30 grand. I don't think I can hire someone. I'm like, dude, that's way too much. You need to go invest that stuff in there. Like it's if they don't work out after 30 days, if you buy a lawnmower, it doesn't work, return it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. You set the standards and the standards become the bad guy for your business, not you personal. This is never about the individual. This is about setting clear expectations of what needs to be done and how they're going to perform. And you do this. You know, it's funny. If you go to sports, if I go to Tom Brady, right? Nobody goes in the middle of the season and goes, hey, you know what, Tom? You've been working a lot lately. Why don't you go ahead and take the next 4 Sundays off, right? Just because I think you really need some time off. Or, you know, if somebody's, you know what, I know he's fumbled the ball 37% of the time in 4 games in a row. We should give him another season to go on and keep doing this. No, they don't, because in sports, even though it's a business, they see that as different. And then when you get into the business world, they're like, everyone needs to take time. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. And then it's like, well, I can't believe you let that person go. Well, they weren't hitting their goals, and it's good for them. Right? I'll stop. Yeah.
No, that's great. I love it. I love it. All right. So tell me about the coaching you do. So if people go to adamhergenrother.com, there's a coaching tab up there. Tell me about the coaching, how you do it, who you work with. I mean, obviously your energy, your passion is contagious. So just spending like 15, 20 minutes on the phone with you every couple of weeks would energize me. Tell me about your coaching and what you do and how you do it.
Well, we have a bunch of different models. One thing we just launched that we start tomorrow, launches off, it's called Project U. It's a year-long full immersion course, and it focuses on 4 deep immersions. The first immersion is the physicality, which we actually get people, physical coaches, nutritionists throughout the entire year. The second one is wealth, where we actually assign a 5% net worth growth factor to every single person in there, so that over the course of the year, they've grown their net worth at least 5%. They've paid down their debt, and every single person has bought a piece of real estate, whether they have money or not.
Oh, wow.
The third component is spirituality, which we actually get every single person in the course certified in TM.
Oh, wow.
So they literally come up for that whole thing. So they walk out of there. So every time it's immersion of it. Like for instance, the wealth course, like for BlackRock, I own about 800 units. And so we bring in our CFO and our development people, and they teach them how to buy real estate with or without money. And the last one is leadership and relationships. And we bring in FBI negotiators to really talk people how to work the whole thing. That's called Project U, which we've launched this year, but certainly for next year. We do have some one-on-one coaching. And then Hallie and I, my chief of staff, just wrote a book, which we're really pumped about. It's called The Founder and the Force Multiplier. And it's a strategic relationship between any founder, any CEO, any manager, and their kind of EA, their executive assistant, their chief of staff, their general assistant, whatever it is, of bringing back the conversation around what is it like to create that strategic partnership. And this is a roadmap to have fierce conversations to make sure you have the right person and you have the force multiplier as the right founder. And really taking it, and I think of it as a simple example, we call it the 0-10 principle, where a lot of times CEOs or founders take it from 0 to 1, and then they don't know where to go, but the force multiplier takes it from a 2 to a 9, then they take it from a 9 to a 10, right? And so it's just, how do you create that relationship so that you're actually working on the same projects, but yet you have different components of it. And so we're just really pumped to get that out there. That's The Founder and the Force Multiplier. And you can go to that website and buy the book if you like, or the Audible version.
Okay, so The Founder and the Force Multiplier. Go to that website to get the book. Go to adamhergenrother.com, and I'm going to spell that for those of you who are listening. By the way, you can get the podcast on YouTube, but those of you who are listening, it's ADAMHERGENROTHER.com. We're going to put the website link in the show notes for you, so it'll be right below where you get the podcast on the show notes, whether it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever. The link will be in there so that you can go to adamhergenrother.com, learn all about Adam, all about what he's got going on. And I'll tell you, I spent 20 minutes with Adam just now, and I'm pumped up. I'm all fired up. I want to go outside and run or tackle somebody or do something. Adam, it has been fantastic having this conversation with you. I think what I'm going to do is sometime down the road, I want to have you back, and I want to do a show just on TM.
Love that.
I think you're the first person. This is our 9th show, and you're the first person that has brought up TM, and I love to talk about it, and I'd love to get our audience excited about it because it has made a huge difference in my life. Sounds like it's made a huge difference in your life and in your company. So I'd love to have you back to talk about TM down the road because it is it's just a fantastic opportunity for everybody who listens to us. Adam, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That's another edition of the Do This, Sell More show. I am your host, Dave Lorenzo, and back here next Thursday, we will see you. But in the meantime, I hope you do this and sell more.